right, so welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at a pretty disturbing incident
Yeah.
that happened with the Aurora, Colorado Police Department back in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And, we want to really understand,
Mm-hmm.
what happened to this black family that was mistaken for car thieves?
Yeah.
And, the bigger issues it brings up around policing and racial profiling.
Right.
And we're going to be focusing on this YouTube video from We the People University.
Okay.
And this is a former police officer giving his perspective on what happened.
Interesting.
And so,
This case is really interesting, I think, because it really highlights,
yeah,
the intersection of racial profiling and also police errors.
right.
And the struggle for accountability in the system.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So let's set the scene here and just kind of paint a picture for everyone listening.
Yeah.
What happened to this family? They were just out having a normal day.
Yeah, so imagine this. You're a black mother, kids, and niece in tow, just coming back from a day of shopping and pampering,
Okay.
having a nice day,
Yeah.
and suddenly you're surrounded by police guns drawn.
Oh my gosh.
This is exactly what this family in Aurora faced.
Oh, wow.
Officers mistakenly thought that their SUV was a stolen motorcycle.
Wait a minute. So they thought an SUV
Yeah.
was a motorcycle?
Yes.
How is that even possible?
And it gets even more bizarre.
Okay.
Not only were they in an SUV, the stolen motorcycle had Montana plates.
Oh,
The family's SUV had Colorado plates.
wow.
It seems that the police just latched onto a partial license plate match.
Wow.
And, they relied solely on scanner information without double-checking the details.
Oh my God.
And that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And sadly for this innocent family, it led to a terrifying and traumatizing experience.
Yeah, especially with kids that were 6 years old present.
Yeah.
This is heartbreaking. I wonder, were there any specific aspects of police procedure or training
Yeah.
that maybe could have contributed to such a big mistake?
Well, the multiple errors may raise serious concerns about the training these officers receive. Could there have been a culture that prioritized speed over careful observation?
Right.
Were they adequately trained to verify scanner information or conduct thorough vehicle identification?
Yeah.
These are some critical questions I think we need to ask to understand how such a blatant mistake could occur.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what happened to the officer who led this operation?
Right.
Officer Darian Dacco.
Yeah.
The video mentions that he was suspended.
Yes, but the lack of serious consequences is truly concerning.
Right.
Despite his suspension, Dacco later ran for sheriff in another county.
Wow.
This speaks volumes about the lack of accountability for police misconduct.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, the community saw through it, and he lost the election.
That's good, at least.
Yeah.
It's at least a small victory,
Yeah.
but it shows that people are demanding better.
Right.
So did they pursue any legal action?
Absolutely. They
Right.
sued the city of Aurora for the emotional trauma they endured.
Yeah.
And they received a $1.9 million settlement. This not only highlights the financial burden these incidents place on taxpayers, but also recognizes the immense harm inflicted on innocent people.
Hmm.
This incident raises a crucial legal concept, and that's civil rights violations.
Right.
Lawsuits like this stem from the violation of an individual's constitutional rights.
Yep.
In this case, the Fourth Amendment's protection against unreasonable searches and seizures.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about the money. It's about recognizing that their rights were actually violated.
Exactly.
And this isn't the first time that the Aurora Police Department has been under scrutiny.
Unfortunately, no. This incident occurred in 2021.
Yeah.
But just 2 years prior, in 2019, there was the highly publicized death of Elijah McClain.
Elijah McClain, the young man who was walking home and was stopped by police.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was placed in a chokehold and injected with ketamine by police and paramedics, which ultimately led to his tragic death.
Yeah.
The city of Aurora settled with McClain's family for $15 million.
Wow.
And unfortunately, a pattern emerges when we look further into the department's history.
The video mentions some additional settlements.
Yes. A New York Times investigation uncovered at least 11 other settlements
Wow.
for police brutality in Aurora between 2003 and 2018, totaling $4.6 million.
So it's not just a few bad apples.
Yeah.
It's a systemic problem.
It reveals a disturbing pattern of misconduct within the department. The former officer in the video refers to it as the culture of the department,
Right.
implying that this behavior is tolerated, even encouraged
Wow.
by those in charge.
So not only tolerated, but like maybe even the higher-ups know about it.
That's the alarming takeaway.
Yeah.
The suggestion is that this conduct is ingrained in the department's operating procedure
Right.
and potentially even overlooked or condoned by supervisors.
Wow.
It raises serious questions about the department's leadership and their commitment to accountability.
That's chilling. And it makes you wonder, is this just an Aurora problem, or is this a symptom of a much larger problem?
Right.
Nationwide.
That's the question that haunts us.
Yeah. Yeah.
How widespread are these issues?
Yeah.
And what systemic factors contribute to them?
Right.
This incident compels us to examine those questions further.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's disturbing, but we have to confront these realities.
Yeah.
So knowing all of this,
Yeah.
how can we as individuals protect ourselves
Right.
and push for change?
Well, the former officer in the video offered some practical advice. He emphasizes the importance of knowing your rights.
Okay.
You have the right to remain silent, the right to refuse a search without a warrant, and in many cases, the right to record police interactions. These actions can deter misconduct, create documentation, and apply pressure for reform.
That's great advice in theory, but in a high-stress situation like
Right.
that, how easy is it to remember all of that?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
It's crucial to familiarize yourself with your rights beforehand, perhaps even jotting them down and keeping them accessible.
Okay.
Practicing scenarios with a friend or family member could also help you react calmly and assertively
That's good advice.
in a real-life situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So,
It's also important to remember that recording an interaction can sometimes escalate the situation.
right.
So it's crucial to assess the situation and prioritize your safety.
Safety first.
Right.
But, individual actions can only go so far.
Right.
Right. We need systemic change.
Absolutely.
What are some steps that communities can take to address these deeply rooted issues?
It's a multifaceted problem.
Yeah.
It requires a multifaceted approach.
Right.
One avenue is to focus on police training.
Oh,
Many advocates are pushing for more comprehensive training programs that emphasize de-escalation techniques, cultural sensitivity, and implicit bias recognition
so equipping officers with the skills to handle situations differently.
more thoughtfully.
Exactly. Instead of resorting to force as the first option. Yeah.
Training should prioritize de-escalation communication and understanding the nuances of diverse communities.
It seems like accountability kind of goes hand in hand with training. What are some effective ways to hold officers accountable for misconduct?
Accountability is crucial. There needs to be a system in place that doesn't just acknowledge wrongdoing,
Right.
but actively addresses it.
Yeah.
This could involve independent investigations of incidents, stricter disciplinary measures for officers who violate policies or laws, and a system that tracks repeat offenders.
So transparency and oversight are key.
Yeah,
But we can't just focus on the police themselves.
right.
We need to address those root causes
Absolutely.
that contribute to these issues.
Poverty, lack of opportunity, and systemic racism are all intertwined with these problems.
That's all connected.
Investing in communities, providing social services, and tackling racial disparities are all essential steps.
This has been an incredibly insightful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise
My pleasure.
and for helping us dive deep into these really complex issues.
It's been my pleasure. And thank you for facilitating this important dialogue and for encouraging listeners to engage in this crucial conversation.
And to our listeners, we leave you with this final thought. The Aurora incident and the countless others like it
Yeah.
are not just isolated events. They are symptoms of a system in need of transformation.
Right.
We all have a role to play in creating that change.
Right.
Stay informed, stay engaged, and never stop pushing for a more just and equitable world. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going.